Hey everybody, this is Anna. Thanks for joining me today. And the topic of today's discussion is self care. So let's talk about this. What is self care and what does it mean to you? So, self care recently has been a really big buzzword, and we all have different meanings attached to it. So, what do you think about when you hear self care? Do you hear about just taking care of yourself? Are you thinking about a fancy spa treatment or a big shopping spree? So self-care is basically in a nutshell is taking care of ourselves, knowing what our needs are and meeting them. Taking care of ourselves is not something selfish, and for many of us who grew up in surroundings where we needed to care of our siblings or parents or taking care of anyone, it's probably going to be hard to grasp because we might consider this selfish. But it's truly not. It's basically putting a mask on yourself, like in an airplane, before you put a mask on a child. And what I want to do next is just talk a little bit about different ways of taking care of ourselves that will rejuvenate and replenish us and help us be our best. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is a routine and schedule. So when you think about your day, do you start in a hectic environment or do you have a routine where you sit down and repeat particular tasks day in, day out to help you get grounded? If not, I would really suggest that you try to build something for yourself that really works for you. For example, for me, when I get up, I'd like to take a puppy out, make a cup of coffee, and sit outside for a few minutes just listening to the birds and enjoying the weather. Well, granted, if it's not really cold out. So that helps me get grounded, it helps me get centered for the day. Then I go back inside and write my goals for the day. The times when I don't do that, my day somehow starts to be chaotic and somehow my self care goes down the drain. So for me, like I know for some of you guys, having that routine is essential. Another way that we can take care of ourselves is surround ourselves with positive environments and have positive surroundings and positive friends around us. What that does is allows us to be ourselves. We don't have to pretend to be somebody else, don't have to feel tight and to breathe. It just helps us be ourselves and really blossom. So, one of the big things when we're learning just to take care of ourselves, and I know it's incredibly big for women, is saying no. Somehow we built being automatic yes to everything. So we often commit to things, activities, events, and people that we don't necessarily want to do or will be beneficial for us. Or another way of this happening is if we do say no, then it's going with a long explanation as to why we cannot do something. And naturally, I do believe this is built in us as women. So to practice saying no and to say no graciously is a beautiful thing. So I do challenge you guys when next time something comes up before you say yes, just say no and don't have to follow with explanation or saying I'm sorry. It's perfectly fine. I know it's a big one for us. Um, Another thing we could do is exercise. Like exercise, as you all of you guys know, is really healthy for the body and healthy for the mind. So carving out that little time to even stretch is really wonderful. I do know that one way you can measure how far you've gone of night taking care of yourself and how well you're doing in taking care of yourself is if you catch yourself in the moment when you are invited to do something fun and that fun feels like work. Have you ever caught yourself that you've been invited to, let's say, a party and you normally will be super excited? You would look for a dress to wear, think about what time you're gonna get here, you get all happy and tingly and excited. While the moment it starts feeling like work, you know you've gone too far of not saying no and not taking care of yourself. So what also happens is many of us have taken care of others for so long, especially if you're a mom, you have little kids you're taking care of, you're taking care of the house, the family, um, you being a backbone of your family, you have aging parents, and you tend to neglect yourself. And sometimes we often ask ourselves, what do I even need? Right? Like sometimes it's really challenging to even identify what you need after spending years of not meeting your needs. So, one of the things we could do is have a checklist. I'm actually going to post on Friday a little checklist for us on a Facebook group, and you'll see the invite below. And we are going to offer you guys a checklist that will allow you to write different needs that you might need, like for example, sleep, time yourself, hobbies, and how much in order for you to feel replenished. For example, on my list, I would have sleep 7 hours a day, every day, or let's say dancing 3 times a week for an hour. So, practicing writing down those needs is really helpful in A, identifying what we need, and B, creating little mini routines for us to do in the morning or at night to help us take better care of ourselves. So, and another wonderful thing to do is every day to come up with one thing to do for yourself that will have you feel acknowledged and appreciated and that you are stepping up for yourself. And that could be really small. It doesn't have to be anything huge, but even making a cup of tea, sitting outside with a glass of wine for 10 minutes, that could be those little things. So again, we will continue this topic. There is so much to cover on area of self-care, and please do join me in my Facebook group because we're gonna see a lot more posts on that, along with the checklists and other notes as well as articles to help us move forward in taking better care of ourselves. And until then, take care, guys, and stay true to yourself.